So we decided that this would be the perfect time to talk a little about ourselves.
Oh, man. Just giving ourselves the spotlight today.
Yeah, this is going to be a special one. I feel like this is what the people have been wanting. We've had a couple comments,
Yeah, the people need it.
I've heard people say, "Hey, we like hearing about other coaches, but we want to hear more about you."
And, I mean, it's our audience lives, and we're just living in it, so we got to spotlight ourselves.
Exactly. We have to give the people what they want. So we figured we'd start with you, Ryan. We're gonna. This is how it's gonna go. We're gonna go through your illustrious wrestling career.
That'll take about 2 minutes.
Your childhood first.
Okay.
Your illustrious wrestling career. Then we're gonna get into the coaching side, right?
Okay.
We're gonna figure out how you got here. So Ryan, take me through it. You, I know you started wrestling at a young age. How young?
4 years old.
4 years old.
Yeah.
So what can you do at 4 years old?
It's not even wrestling at that point. It's like the crazy part is I came from a big wrestling family. Both my parents are one of 7. And everyone wrestled. So all my uncles, it was just a huge wrestling family. And I remember as a kid, going and watching my cousins' wrestling matches. And that was some of my youngest memories. So 4 years old, they threw me in there. And I remember on Wednesday, it was a Wednesday, it was my first practice, my mom said. And then my first match was on Friday. So I didn't even know the rules, let alone if I won or lost.
Right.
So I started wrestling at 4 years old, did not win many matches, but I was just a super high energy kid that, kind of loved the sport, and then just couldn't get me off the mat ever since.
I feel like Ryan Morrison at 8 years old could beat Matt Sudden in a wrestling match at 25 years old. So
I was pretty small, man. I was super tiny.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you fall in love with wrestling? What was that, at what instant did you know that you wanted to do this as long as you possibly could?
Yeah, I mean, so I remember, I played football, soccer, baseball, wrestling. The only thing I didn't play was basketball, pretty much. And I knew, always from I was named after Ryan Sandberg, right? So I always loved baseball as a kid, right? So I always grew up wanting to play either baseball in college, or football. Football, we found out real quick wasn't going to work out because I was 90 pounds my freshman year of high school.
Same.
But and then so from wrestling, I just realized I really loved the individual and kind of team aspect of things. That when we're in a baseball game and we lose, you can always point the finger,
right?
But it was the frustrating thing, but the great thing is it's all on you. So how I always put it was there was no better win and there's no kind of more devastating loss,
right?
Because it's all you,
right? That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to that coming from the individual sport with the team aspect as well.
Yeah.
So tell me what, you tried a bunch of different sports as a kid. You played a bunch of different sports. What makes wrestling unique? What makes it better than other sports?
Oh man. So one of the things that I like about it is, I think, for one, it just prepares you really well for life, I've realized. But also there's physical consequences of your actions, right? And it's you I don't know the best way to put it, but if you strike out in baseball, no offense, Craig and Coach Rainey, there's nothing really that happens other than Coach Rainey yelling at you.
Right.
For us, if I go left when I shouldn't go right, someone's gonna pick me up and slam me on my head. So
right.
It's kind of chess with extreme physical consequences.
Right.
So at a high level. So that's one of the things I really like about the sport of wrestling.
Yeah.
And just the grind of it.
Yeah. I bet you learn pretty quickly after you get put in a spleetle, huh?
Yeah.
I had to show off that I knew what
you know some wrestling terms.
Yeah, I know some wrestling terms.
Yeah, but that's what I like about the sport, and just been really fortunate everything it's taught me. I don't know if I'd be the same person if I didn't find wrestling or wrestling didn't find me.
Right. So tell me, we've talked before
Yeah.
about all your coaching influences. I know you have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me kind of as you went through high school and college, what are the biggest lessons that you learned from your different coaches? You had a few, didn't you?
Yeah. So I'll kind of take it back. I got to shout out my mom and dad first.
Right.
So they were my OG coaches. Like my mom and dad coached me in everything. Like my mom and dad coached our baseball team.
Right.
Like my mom, my dad's a super big dude. And I was always a little kid. So like I remember when I was like 7 years old, my mom got me the Granby School of Wrestling VHS tape on Christmas, and Christmas morning I'm like hitting Peterson's on my mom as my like drill partner because my dad was too big. So yeah, they were awesome, and then after that, I mean, my high school coach Iacona was awesome. He I think really taught us about attention to detail. And then I wrestled for Coach Rasich at Ursinus, and one of the big things that I really just learned from him was just like the idea of just competing, like you're always competing, and from kind of the recruiting end of things, like, dude, he could sell, man. He could sell.
Right.
He was the type of dude he could sell ice to an Eskimo. So like, so I definitely learned a lot about that, and like he like had this innate ability that like when you were having a conversation with someone or with him, like it just seemed like that was the most important 5 minutes of his entire day. But everyone felt like that, whether it was, the wrestling side of things or, someone broke up with their girlfriend, like whatever it was, like it just seemed like that was the most important 5 minutes or 10 minutes of his day. And that is like something, you kind of strive to emulate as a coach.
Right.
And then I've been really lucky, in kind of the coaching side of things with Jay Robinson and Coach Patrizzi, and then obviously Coach Schindel here. That once I got to Adrian, my growth as a coach under Bill and Cliff have really kind of just skyrocketed since then.
Right. That's incredible. I love what you said about your coach just caring. I feel like that's can be everything. Just having a coach that cares for you, that takes an interest in you and invests in you. It's everything. I feel like it motivates you, inspires you, all that.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
So you've spent 4 years as an assistant coach, Ryan. 3 years here at Adrian College, 1 year at Heidelberg. What are the biggest things you've learned in that time? Take us back to first year assistant coach Ryan Morrison. How much have you changed? How much have you grown?
A ton, man. A ton. I would say the biggest thing for me, when I first got into coaching, like, if you're being honest, you really don't know if you're qualified for the job. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be good at this. Like, I got hired, but so you kind of emulate the people that were in your life. And I had a lot of old school, like, in your face types of coaches, and like, I think really the biggest thing is just learning to be authentic. I think just figuring out who you are and what your place in the world is the first step to any, kind of high performance in any field.
Right.
Like once you kind of figure that out and you can just be yourself. And that's something I've really been fortunate with here is just, Coach Schindel and the guys in the program have just let me be me.
Right.
And that's made it so enjoyable.
Yeah. So tell us what does that look like? Who is Ryan Morrison who is Coach Morrison? What's your style as a coach? I already know it's energetic.
Yeah,
that's got to be one of them.
The funny part about this is I could say this, and then I have no idea if it's actually true or not. Right?
Yeah,
like
right.
Yeah, perception's reality, so I don't know what I'm perceived as. But I've always tried to be a very relational coach. Like I think just trying to build relationships. I'm definitely high energy. Definitely loud. Try to.
I've seen you argue with the refs.
Yeah,
once or twice, not a lot.
Argue with refs, kind of in your face. The New Jersey comes out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the big thing for me. Just build relationships, have fun, and bring good energy to practice, to competition, stuff like that.
Right. That's great. So what makes a successful assistant coach? A lot of people look at the head coach in terms of a program success, and it's their vision. But I think the assistant coach plays such an important role. What do you think makes a successful assistant coach?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is understanding like what are your strengths and weaknesses, being really honest with, as a head coach and as an assistant, like, and just as a program, like what are each of your strengths and weaknesses? And I think you're trying to fill in the gaps of whatever your head coach's weaknesses are.
Right.
Because everyone has them.
Right.
And then I think too, just understanding that, a clear idea of, like, for me, just a clear idea of Bill's vision when I got the job, and what are his core values and what's his ideal culture, and buying in 100% to that, and then getting to put my kind of personal spin on it.
Right.
But just trying to stick in line with the values and the vision for the program, and then working your butt off. I don't know. I think I think if you want to be a good assistant, pretty good rule of thumb is be the first one in, be the last one to leave, and that's a pretty good starting spot right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So talking about Adrian College and the success that you have had, I wanted to get my numbers right, so I did a little research last night.
Yeah.
First year you were here, the team was 2-8 in duels.
Yeah.
Then fast forward to the 2019-2020 season, you guys are 12-5 in duels.
Yep.
The 2021 season obviously looked a little different with COVID, but you guys were ranked top 20 in the nation. Come a very long way in a very short amount of time. I don't think I haven't heard of many programs that have seen this kind of success this quickly on a national level. How are you guys doing it? What's the secret?
Yeah. I think when I interviewed for the job, so I knew Coach Schindel from when he was at his previous institution when I was competing, and I knew who he was, and I remember I came to Adrian for the Adrian invite when I was at Heidelberg first tournament of the year, and I was like, man, and then fast forward to the region tournament, Noah Neiman beats a kid from Heidelberg first round that was really good. I think he was like the 4 seed.
Okay.
I was like, man, who is this kid from Adrian? And then, Don Patera got a big win. Zach Rieger was tough and super tough. And then I just saw the growth in just such a short year.
Right.
Even though the record didn't show, even though 2-8 probably wasn't representative of how much they've grown.
Right.
And then when I stepped foot on campus, I was like, man, this place is sweet. Like, Coach Schindel's sweet. Like, this is a place I want to be.
Right.
And really, I just think it comes down to, having a clear vision of where you want to go. Like, every conversation I had with Coach Schindel in the interview process is, we're going to be a team that competes for a national title.
Right.
We're going to be a top 5 team in the country. Like, it wasn't an if, it's just a when.
Right.
And so when I got here, I think just the guys having that mindset that, like, we're going to build something really special here. We're going to leave a legacy of, we're going to take nothing and build a top 25 team in the country. And when I can bring my grandkids and kids back for homecoming and stuff like that, like, I'm going to see something great that I helped start.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to having a lot of tough kids that really want to work hard and just bought into the process of trying to compete and, at a high level and just get better every day. And it wasn't always smooth sailing, but I think just having a solid team culture and kids that want to work super hard and are really just committed to the lifestyle that it takes to be a great college athlete. And I think that was the big mindset shift. It wasn't the most talented. It wasn't blue chip recruits like your kids, like your Donald Moseses and your Michael Jacobs. Like, we're not your blue chip recruits coming out of high school, but they absolutely committed themselves to the process, worked their tail off, and now they're both nationally ranked as juniors, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that speaks volumes of the program and the individuals that we have. So I think it's less me and more just surrounding myself with really good people.
Right. That's incredible. And the culture is something that I've always noticed, how great it is, and how I feel like even when the team was 2-8, I feel like the team was just walking around like they're top 20 in the nation, just having that kind of mindset, just wanting it.
Yeah.
What are the most important qualities that you're looking for? You mentioned toughness, grit. How do you find that in athletes you're recruiting?
Yeah, I think just, spend a lot less time looking at rankings and results and really just asking the right questions throughout the process of, like, what's your mindset? Like, do you love wrestling? Like,
Right.
What's talking to coaches, seeing what your work ethic's like, seeing those types of things, I think is a way better indicator of long-term success at the college level. And, I think it starts first just finding good people, right? Like, I think you can't buy value systems. So having people with the right values that believe in the right things. And then, if you got a work ethic and you're tough as nails, like, I mean, we could teach you how to wrestle.
Right.
Like, that's the starting point. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the big thing. And the team culture just really, it's super cool to be a part of. Like, just having like, you kind of know this, you've seen texts and stuff like that. Just like having kids that genuinely care about their teammates is pretty awesome. And having kids that just like that you genuinely just love this program. You love each kid in there, and, and it just makes it really easy to go to work every day.
Right. Good people first.
Yeah.
Good people first.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we can't finish this without one last question.
Okay.
All right. So I was doing my research last night, and I find on the Kutztown website,
oh man,
sports role model, Ryan Morrison, the most hated man in all of sports, maybe top 3, Christian Leitner. Tell us your sports role model. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think as an athlete, I think I liked not being liked.
Right.
I liked being disliked.
Right.
So I never had a problem with it, and I think Christian Leitner was kind of the GOAT when it comes to thriving when other people hate him. So I speak my mind, and I can be pretty brash sometimes. So as an athlete, at least, I think I've grown up a little bit. So I think it fit pretty well at the time.
Yeah, safe to say you had a chip on your shoulder.
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
All right, Ryan. Well, I learned a lot here. This was fantastic. We're gonna kick it over to Destin for our little commercial break. And then we will be right back with the AC Coaches Corner on WVAC 107.9.
And we'll be right back with more of the AC Coaches Corner here on WVAC 107.9.
We continue to take pride and learn from Asa Mahan's leadership today.
Here it goes out there. And the slam!
161 years of commitment to harnessing the power of creativity, ingenuity, community, and academic excellence.
I believe that if you get your degree here, the world is going to feel like it's shrinking to you.
Adrian College is looking for leaders, student athletes with the tenacity to keep the Bulldogs at the top, the forefront, in and out of the classroom. The Bulldogs are looking for talent, character, hard work, grit, leaders who can electrify sold-out crowds, gut out a last-line shift, will their team to victory, hit a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth, and be a part of a legend in the making. Think you have what it takes to become a Bulldog? Visit adrian.edu to learn more. If there was one word I was going to use to describe the communication arts program at Adrian College, it would be unique. Students find themselves on the radio, in front of and behind the camera, and directing their own programs. Students learn in a personalized environment that sets them up for a world of opportunities. Are you ready for your moment in the limelight? Learn more about the Rush Communications Center and Adrian College's communications program by visiting adrian.edu today.
And we're back with WVAC 1079 AC Coaches Corner. I am Ryan Morrison. I'm here with my guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Adrian College cross-country assistant coach, Matthew Sutton. Matt, what's going on, man?
What an introduction.
I know.
I'm so
Had
honored.
to change gears. But Matt, I know you are, some might say, a mythical figure on campus. Give us your background, man. Athletically, what was Matt Sutton's athletic career like growing up?
Absolutely. I would say I typical try a little of everything, kind of sports background. I did a lot of soccer, did some baseball, couple years, did a little roller hockey. That was a fun one.
Slapshot Sutton.
Slapshot Sutton. That's where I got my nickname. It stuck with me all this time. I'd say a little bit of everything. I would say that I always realized, I always realized that I had a little knack for running.
Yeah.
It's, like maybe not the best at handling the soccer ball, but when it comes to just doing laps around the field, I'm just killing everyone.
Yeah.
So I had always kind of known that I was above average in terms of endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing some road races with my dad.
Okay.
He kind of got me into the running scene. Did some road races, kind of knew that it was something I was interested in. And then started right off the bat in high school. Did cross country immediately, did track immediately, and just loved it. Fell in love with the team, fell in love with the sport. And here I am, still in the sport.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's crazy to, I don't know.
So is that something that's pretty common that you see across cross country runners kind of starting in high school? Is that something you see?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it can be rare to find runners that'll start in middle school or earlier. I think it's typically a sport that starts in high school. A lot of times, people won't figure out that they want to run until late in high school. I know plenty of people on our team right now that had a love and a passion for soccer and maybe tore their ACL, maybe just couldn't make it to the next level, and then knew they had a love for running and pursued it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha, man. So what do you love about running? What makes running unique? Because I can tell you there's probably a lot of people that hate running, this guy included.
Yeah.
So like what do you love about running?
Yeah. Man, it's a weird sport. I've always kind of had the thought that you need to be a little crazy to love running.
Yeah. I've heard the same about wrestling.
Yeah.
No worries.
Exactly. But yeah, man, the reason I fell in love with it, it has to just be, the raw competition. It's very pure in the sense that I'm here, you're here. It's a race to that finish line, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no rules. It's very straight up. I just love the hardworking aspect of it. I feel like all sports are a metaphor for life and can teach life lessons. But from my own personal experience, like I've had so many lessons that have come from running. I fell in love in high school. I fell in love with our team, with the environment, with just working hard and working towards a goal.
Yeah.
It's running can be everyone has a love-hate relationship with it. I don't think anyone only loves running. And it can bring you to some low moments, absolutely. But man, the highs are just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so your running career, ran in high school, ran in college at Georgia College. At what point did you realize that you wanted to be a coach, and kind of how did you pursue that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was around my junior year in college that I realized I wanted to be in sports, or I should say running in particular and coaching. I think all of college I knew that I wanted to be involved in sports somehow, but around my junior year I realized that a lot of the personal experiences that I've had in sports, anywhere from injuries to having success and being a leader on the team, all those kind of experiences, I felt like that was really it really set me up to be a coach. And I realized how much I loved the sport, and also more importantly just like the relationships you have with people when you are the coach, and just leading them and all that kind of stuff. That's when I knew. About junior year in high school.
So junior year of high school you figured it out. At what point in college? Yeah, what point in college did you start to kind of pursue things, and then you ended up getting a job at your alma mater?
Right.
Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. My coach in college, oh man, he's been such an influence on me, and a mentor to me. Yeah. And he reached out to me late in college, I'd say junior or senior year, and he told me that he thought that I would be a great fit in coaching, and he was interested in having me as a grad assistant, and so I spent a year with him as a grad assistant, and he really showed me the ropes, showed me what it meant to be a good coach in all facets, and yeah, I would say that's kind of when.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then, so this is where your story gets interesting.
Yeah.
So after that first year, coach leaves.
Right.
And you get promoted to interim head coach of the Georgia College cross country team.
Right.
And to put that in perspective, they essentially made you the CEO of a small business at 24. So,
right.
Yeah, to put in perspective how nuts that is.
Yeah.
What was that like? And then, kind of what were some of the things that were, challenging and while figuring all of that out?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. It was a whirlwind. It really was. But I was so blessed to have that opportunity and have an administration that trusted me with that responsibility. Yeah, man, it was really trial by fire,
to say the least.
Yeah, it's really just I think coming away from that, I really believe that that's the best way to learn is just by doing it.
Yeah.
I think I failed a lot in that time period, and I learned from each of them, and I took something away from each of them. Yeah. So starting off, it just you kind of I would say a big part of it is you learn where your priorities need to lie. You only have so much time in the day.
Yeah.
And you have so much to do. You got recruiting, you got coaching, you have practice. Then you also have administrative work and all that. And you have to figure out how to spend that time, how much time to spend on each. And you kind of have to, as I'm going, I'm trying to figure out my vision, for the program. What do I want it to look like? Like you talked a little before, like you have coaching influences that you're going to take and use and kind of model your coaching after, but where do I put my own personal flair in? Like where do I where can I make this authentic and myself and my spin on it? It's all that. It was tough in a lot of times, but also so rewarding. I'm still very close with a lot of the athletes that I coached there. Yeah. It was such a great experience for me moving forward, and has really shaped a lot of my future coaching.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the interesting thing for me about being a head coach, in the sense of, as an assistant, right? Like, you learn how to do each facet of the job.
Right.
But as a head coach, the challenge is weaving it all together. It's not really how good are you at each individual component.
Right.
It's can you weave it all together and make sure, the cogs in the machine are all firing at the right times.
Right.
And so I think that's something that's an exciting challenge, and I'm sure was definitely overwhelming at times for you.
Right.
And but and then from there, I mean, what kind of brought you to Adrian? How did that, a lot of people, head coaching job, probably stick that out. I mean, for you to go,
Right.
kind of to an assistant coaching job, what kind of prompted that? And,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
stuff like that.
That's a good question. Yeah, so I found this great opportunity at Adrian College. I started talking to Coach Still,
Yep.
loved him, and loved his vision for the program. And I saw how much potential that we had here,
Yeah.
as a school and also as a program,
Yep.
and kind of what this could be. And I really liked the idea of a new challenge. I had been at Georgia College. That was my alma mater, so I had been there for a while. And I would say, looking back, that's kind of all I knew, was how they did it there, and they do things great there. So I'd learned some really great stuff, but I think having the perspective of seeing another program and another school altogether, another state, another region of the country, was really important for me and for my growth and development. And I think I've learned a lot from that. And now I have two different perspectives in college coaching to draw upon as I make decisions in coaching. So our potential here was really, really enticing for me.
Yeah.
We have such a young team on the distance side.
Yeah.
And Coach Still has had some really great success, especially with the high jumpers, with the sprinters, all around. He's had some really good success, and I feel like if we can get the distance side to where I believe it can be and where Coach Still believes it can be, the track team as a whole is going to be really special. It's going to be a really special program.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys have definitely had some incredible success on the track side of things with, national champ this year, like some pretty awesome stuff going on. So
absolutely.
When you got here, what was your ideal team culture on the distance side of things? Like, what is your kind of vision for the program?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. I would say, first and foremost, we're looking for good people. I tell the runners on the team all the time, like, you bring value to the team in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can score for us. You can help us athletically. That's important. That's something that we need.
Yeah.
But more so than that, anyone can be a good teammate. Anyone can be a leader. Anyone can just contribute to the positive culture that we have on the team.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for everyone to do. That's definitely big for us. Another part of the culture is I tell the team all the time that control what you can control.
Yeah.
Cross country and track can be a difficult sport mentally. Partly just because it's so individual, like we talked about before, the individual aspects of it, but we deal with a lot of weather. We deal with a lot of extraneous circumstances, and I tell them control what you can control, and preparation, attitude, and effort are really, it comes down to those three. Those are the only things you can control, and if we take care of those, then we are going to we're going to thrive. And in terms of the attitude, like I'm really big on that. I'm really big on positivity. I think that the sport, just in general, the sport of running can be very monotonous. Like I said before, people most of the time have a love-hate relationship with it, and sometimes the hate goes on for a while, and you can drag, and it's easy to drag, and unfortunately, that negativity. If you do have negativity, that can be contagious. And we don't want that. You know, so positive vibes. We come in, I'd say about twice a week, we do a positive. I go around, we just kind of sit in a circle before practice, and I say, really quickly, just give me one positive. Everyone goes around, they say one positive. It could be in their personal life, having to do with family, having to do with running, or having to do with school, anything, just so that that's on the forefront of our mind. I think being positive is a huge step to being a good runner in a successful program. So
I really like what you talked about, and just kind of controlling what you can control. I think this year that's been the message for pretty much everyone with the pandemic and
Absolutely.
a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Right.
Competition's getting changed, things getting moved around. Are we having a season? Are we not having a season? And thankfully, Adrian College provided us the opportunity to compete, which I know all of us are really grateful for.
Right.
But that year, I think that this message is more important than ever because there's so much that's out of our control as coaches and then also as student athletes.
Right.
But one last thing before we kind of finish things up. I mean, what are your kind of immediate kind of short-term goals for the future of the distance program?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be competitive in the conference. The last time we had a conference meet in cross country was in 2019. And wow, we have, and I wasn't even coaching at that time.
Yeah.
But looking back on that year, we've grown so much from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're ready as a whole to improve on that. We're ready to improve on that. And then I think, that will translate to track success as well.
Yeah.
Our goal is to start being real competitive with the top of the conference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Matt, appreciate it, man. It was great getting to know a little bit more about you and kind of this process. So, we will, wrap things up. Another episode 13 in the books.
This has been a fun morning.
Yeah, we did it. Matt and Ryan in the morning.
We did it.
But yeah,
We don't need a guest.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
want a guest, but we don't need a guest.
Next week we'll be back. So, but that's episode 13 in the books. AC Coaches Corner, WVAC 107.9.